Welcome into Sports from the Couch here on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Joining us on today's show from NBC Sports Chicago, he covers the Chicago Bulls like a blanket, and now he's dipping his toes on all the major sports teams here in the wonderful city of Chicago. Friend of the show, Tony Gill, joins us to talk everything All-Star Weekend in Chicago, some of the major news coming from the Chicago Bulls, and so much more. But before we get to that, make sure you guys are following us all over social media. You can follow the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. You can follow the network on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mike Mercado 2333, or search Mercado Airwaves Network. Give us a like, 5 stars, and a review wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. It really helps us grow the brand. If you want to get our interviews ad-free or before anybody else, if you would like to enter contests to win prizes, and so many other great ways to support the network, just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have a pop culture show that you can follow on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Our true crime show is on Instagram at Murder, Mysteries, and More. You can play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. And if you would like to send us an email, send us your thoughts at mercadoairwaves@gmail.com. Now, it's friend of the show from NBC Sports Chicago, Tony Gill. Enjoy. Thanks, Tony, for joining us. How are they treating you over at NBC Sports Chicago? How was the move?
It's been great. Everybody there at NBC's been super welcoming and super inviting and just ready to, create a bunch of different content. So I'm happy to be in the position I am, and hopefully people will start, recognizing, oh, this is a Tony Gill production. This is a Tony Gill joint. Tony was a part of this. So not making it about me, but just so many creative people, at NBC that I'm just happy to be a part of it.
And you guys have such a talented staff in front of the cameras, behind the cameras, in front of the mics, behind the mics. I was just checking out the Bulls Talk podcast that you and the boys run, and it got me thinking. And we'll get into some talk about the league in a little bit. But when you're working with guys with like Will Perdue and Kendall Gill, and for me, I'm a media nerd, so working with like Jason Goff, how has that been? How much learning and cool of an experience has that been?
Man, it's been super cool, and I just don't want to limit it to just, basketball. Like being able to work across all the five different team podcasts across all the 4 major sports. I really learned a lot in such a short amount of time. Like working directly with Pat Boyle, pre and post game host of the Blackhawks show, and learning more about the game of baseball and what goes and why this actual thing is such craziness. Every day I'm learning something new, and that's all I can ask for. Not being stagnated or stalemated. There's a lot of learning involved, a lot of coordinating. This is probably like the first position of my life where I'm actually directing and coordinating things for other people to do. Like usually, it's just me. But having that experience, with Lawrence being his VP for, those few months that I was able to do so, gave me a lot of experience into directing and guiding and formulating a philosophy, podcasting philosophy that, is implemented through basically a small network, and seeing that flourish and seeing that grow into something has been very exciting and exuberating to be a part of that. So a lot of learning, a lot of discussion with these former athletes, and just getting their perspective and finding new ways and more interesting ways to tell their stories, to have these discussions about these teams is definitely it's a dream come true.
Now, when you're talking to somebody who's actually been on the other side of it, like who has done the day-to-day, has done the practice, has done all the, all the stuff we don't see in front of the cameras, the appreciation that you grow from it. Because I know one of the tough things for people like us that are part of, whatever end of the media spectrum we are, when we're talking about certain athletes, we try to be respectful, but we also try to have our critiques and be as honest as we can be. But we also, when I interview, for example, a lot of MMA guys and a lot of MMA women, and the stuff that you don't talk about, the weight cutting and the sparring and the stuff we don't see, and you try to have this appreciation. How important has that now been for you, and how much do you incorporate it when you're doing all these different type of podcasts and blogs and these correspondence and watching the games to incorporate that in your content?
I think that is a big key, because people already see the on ice, on field, on court product already for themselves, and the Chicago fan base is generally, if you're in the sports, you're pretty knowledgeable already. My job in the long form podcasting section is for you to learn something or be entertained by something every single episode. That's the goal. One of the main things that I've tried to push to all our hosts, all of our writers or beat guys or people that are involved in our podcast, is to inform and entertain. Those are my two main tenets: inform and entertain. Because we're so close to these sports. I mean, we're the most knowledgeable people, one of the most knowledgeable people on these teams in the market. That's hands down, without a doubt, with all of our experts, how much time we spend with these teams, with these players, with these coaches, with the management. I just feel like nobody gets closer as a whole than we do to your favorite teams. And my job is to allow discussions that you guys don't get to read or you guys don't get to see on a daily basis. And once you're informed on that, also be entertaining, make you laugh, make this a part of the listeners' weekly habits, and have it be a part of your life. Get you connected to the characters of the podcast on many different levels, not just because we have the information, but because you like the people involved. You may not like one person on the podcast, but you really ride hard for another person. Like that's my dream, and that's my goal for our podcasting network, is to not only just give you the X's and O's or whatever, but also give you the backstory, give you the context of why something's happening in a long form conversation. And we're slowly getting there, and it is getting there. And I'm just so excited for what's coming up next, and I think people are going to enjoy it once they start listening to it.
You can follow him on Twitter at the Tony Gill. Also, check out NBC Sports Chicago on their Twitter. Go on their YouTube channel, guys. I know a lot of people who are on the go. I've fallen in love with the YouTube channel. They put everything up there for such easy access, and everything Tony Gill is doing when it comes to the podcast and creating the content. He's one of our favorite guys. He always makes so much time for us, and we always appreciate Tony being with us. Tony, last thing about shop, and then we'll get into the association a little bit. I love talking shop with you. What do you think is going on with this marquee network, man? I mean, you're over there at the Peacock, and you see what's going on, and you guys, you mentioned it, that the people over at NBC Sports Chicago are so knowledgeable, so professional. They've built trust within the community, the sports community and the Chicago community. But now you have this marquee network coming. We don't know what's going on. We don't know channels. We don't know providers. And what is your take on this? I know now that you're dabbing your feet onto all these different avenues, what are you thinking right now about the marquee network and kind of the messes just a few days before first pitch at spring training?
Hey man, I'm a company man. But seriously, though, I mean, I'm here for the competition, and I'm a competitor. So if somebody else wants to do this, I mean, kudos to him. I mean, it's their money, it's their business plan. Like, I can't hate on that. They want to control their own content, which is fine. I felt like NBC Sports Chicago was excellent with their coverage, with their insight. There's multiple people on the beat, on the job. David Kaplan, Layla Reedy, Tony Andracki, along with us. But yeah, I felt NBC Chicago did a great job with the Cubs coverage, but the Cubs obviously wanted to do their own thing and go into a different direction, which is their prerogative. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know in terms of what they're doing over there. I can't really worry about that. They're going now, you know. So we have to do what we have to do to continue to provide that coverage that people are used to from NBC Sports Chicago. That closeness and that connection, that authentic fan experience that we try to provide in terms of our coverage that we provide on the Cubs specifically, and we're going to continue to do that. And fans should know that just because the Cubs aren't partners with NBC Sports Chicago, they're still going to get the same coverage. They're still going to get the same discussion and talk and articles and all that they need in terms of news that they want. Like, it's all a one-stop shop here. We got visuals, we got articles, we got audio, there's sound, and the podcast that you want to get to. Everything for this upcoming critical season for the Cubs, it will all be here for you at NBC Sports Chicago. But yeah, Marquita going out, doing ventures. They've hired a couple of NBC Sports Chicago employees, so I know they're going to do a great job over there. But and yeah, I can't say much more than that. I'm only speaking on where we are as a company right now, but we are going to provide this Cubs.
And I can tell you he's underselling it, because Tony, whatever he has going on in that brain of his, is going to bring the fire, along with all the awesome people at NBC Sports Chicago. They always have. From the days of Comcast Sportsnet to now at NBC Sports Chicago, that's been one of the staples of here. I remember we were talking about, CLTV, how the sports talk at the end of the weekend was one of those marquees for a lot of people in our business, and NBC Sports Chicago has completely taken that and ran with the baton, and they couldn't have brought in a better dude. I'm so happy for Tony Gill. But one of the other reasons we bring in Tony Gill to talk here on Sports from the Couch is because we love basketball. We love the association. And Tony, our lovely city, one of the best cities in the world, arguably the best city in the world, was home to the All-Star Game. And more than anything, you and I, every time we talk the last year and a half that you've been joining me on the show, I've been ragging on the Bulls, and whatever quote-unquote doomsday is coming, we'll get to that in a second. But it was nice to watch basketball in Chicago that was not just about the bean, pizza, and hot dogs, but about basketball, about the city, about culture. It was, it was special.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and there was a lot of people, and it was crazy here. Just the amount of people just walking around and going to your favorite spot. It's crowded, and there's lines everywhere. The UC was packed on every night. Essentially, and it was all great. It was all fantastic. The league did a great job of showing the city for the basketball town it is, and I think it opened a lot of eyes for a lot of players and a lot of media members that don't normally come here, obviously because the Bulls aren't doing well right now. They don't really have a need to pay attention to what's going on in Chicago, but because of the All-Star Game, they saw the love that Chicago has for the game and for the NBA, and the respect it has for NBA stars. When the NBA teams come in, they only stay for a day or two, and then they leave. But Chicago really respects, the stars and the games of other NBA players. I can't tell you how many times where other teams have come in here with stars, and fans are supporting them. And it's not just, we hate the Bulls, so we're going to root for us. It's not just that. It's Bulls fans understand the game, and they understand the importance that every star brings to the game as they write their own personal career history. And fans understand that, and fans support that. I'm not seeing a star come to United Center and not be shown love for what they do as a basketball player. It's because we love basketball here, and that was really shown at the All-Star Game and throughout All-Star Weekend. So the city was represented well. People now get it that Chicago is a sports town. It's not just a Bears town. It's a sports town. Maybe we put, along with Bears football and the NFL in general, we also love basketball in the NBA.
Do you think the league made it a point? And I know they always want to, shine up whatever city they're in. They want to make sure they blow it out. Hell, even in Vegas, just for maybe the future of having a team in Vegas, although that probably won't end very well. But think about it. Like, do you think the league took this opportunity to be like, look, the Knicks suck. We need Chicago. It's been a while since Jordan, but this city will make stars out of our players. They will make them international superstars like they did Derek, like they did Joakim, like they did those. Hell, we tried to make Ben Gordon a national star. Do you think the league took that opportunity to really shine up Chicago? Did it really want to showcase one of its major three?
I think there might have been something there to it. Yeah, I can see them having, that effort, but I mean, that's what it was. That's what the city deserves. Like, the Bulls have been good for a while, and you can't really, and they didn't have anybody in the game. So you can't really do much in terms of promoting the local team when they aren't really being represented that weekend. And, considering what fans were yelling out, during all the national coverages.
Right.
So the city had to be the point of focus, and I mean, whoever planned the strategy in terms of how to promote and do this All-Star game definitely had a mind for the city and a heart for the city to show it off. And the amount of players that have come from this city that are on national stages, Dwayne Wade, Anthony Davis, Pat Bev, all were representatives of the city, even though the Bulls didn't have a representative outside of Zach LaVine and then the Wendell Carter mentioned. But Chicago was still represented in that All-Star game, in All-Star weekend, very well. Derrick Rose was in the skills contest before he pulled out, but Derrick was doing a bunch of different things in the city, on panel, talking about mental health, at his book signing. Derrick was, doing things in the city. For me personally, I booked Rashawn Holmes, another local product for the Tom Haberstroh Live podcast. He talked about his influences coming up in Chicago and wanted to play basketball. So at every level of All-Star Weekend, Chicago was being represented somewhere. And I think it may have caught, some media members, some national people kind of, off guard because they just didn't know. Because they didn't need to know. There's no reason to look at Chicago in terms of basketball because of the current representative team structure. But this weekend really separated the two. On the podcast that came out today on Bulls Talk podcast, the topic is Chicago basketball and Chicago Bulls basketball the same thing? And I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And it's not just because the team is going through struggles right now. It is a little bit of that, obviously, but to show off the love that the city has for the game and for the NBA was the key point and the key focus. And I think that really shone through this weekend.
And I want to just say I'm super proud of the league. I'm super proud of the stars that came out, the hometown stars. I'm proud of the media, especially the local media who spotlighted a lot of the smaller stories and a lot of the more low-key stories. Proud of what you boys did and the entire staff over at NBC Sports Chicago and just everybody who is part of our little community. That is awesome. And Tony Gill is one of the better dudes in our little family. So shout out to Tony. Tony, you've been awesome with your time. Before we let you go, let's get into this last thing. It came out, Bulls are searching, there's going to be a shakeup. It started, from local media, has made it all the way through national. We saw what happened on First Take. Let's get into this, right? Not so much that change is coming. My issue is, what change can happen when nobody who has been making the decisions are going anywhere? So what really change are we happening? If your foundation in your house is old or is moldy, putting a fresh thing of paint is not going to fix the problem. Am I off on this analogy? Are we going to see real shakeup? I mean, I don't know what to make of this new, information we're getting.
I'm going to go there with you. We've kind of known about it for a little bit before it was, written or reported for Joe Cowley or sometimes and Casey Johnson sent out their individual reports on it, we were, having these internal discussions that there seemed like there was a plan in place, or at least a rumored plan in place that there was going to be some shifting in the Bulls front office. And at this point, I got to say, I don't know what that looks like. From the details that have been reported in the Sun-Times and in Casey Johnson's piece on NBC Sports Chicago.com, it doesn't look like much to me. Again, you're right. Like, in what situation is a regime that has done not great able to stay with the organization as a new one comes in to change the culture and to change the vision and the way the organization is going? I have never seen it. I don't think anybody else has ever seen it done that way. And they're really not actually going after or widening the net enough. They're really shortening the candidates that they can get because of how they're going about doing this. And that, Ricky O'Donnell said in his piece for SB Nation, that's not good enough. And it's unfortunate that it has to, be this way. Because I'm sure they think, this will get Bulls fans, on our side.
Right.
Add another person to the think tank that we have, and not really, get rid of anybody, but we can add another person and empower them to do things. And it's just weird. It's weird, bro. That's not a normal situation. So the guy that has been in charge, here's my thing. Gar Forman hasn't done anything in terms of decision making for a couple of years now. So that means the majority of the decision making has been John Paxson. But he's going to interview whoever comes in first. Like, that's weird. That's really weird that the person that was doing the not so great job gets to interview the person who is supposed to do a better job than what they did. Like, that, I don't understand that. I don't understand that dynamic. But if the foundation needs to change, the foundational thinking needs to change in order to actually have real, legitimate, long-standing change, and not just changing the surface of what this is. If you actually want the best candidate you can get, don't have ego involved. Like, don't have ego, don't have loyalties. Like, if you want to pay them, Michael Reinsdorf, you can pay them to do things on your own. Now you just want to hand them money.
Exactly.
But they're not doing anything beneficial for your team at this moment in terms of getting you closer to winning a championship or being competitive. But again, I don't want to spend other people's money. That's
right.
His bag. He loves those guys, apparently. He wants them around in his life, in his business, literally in his business. But if any significant change, whoever they get in here has to be the only person he should answer to, or has to say things, is Michael Reinsdorf. If they want to do this the way they're doing it, whoever they bring in from, Casey reported that they may be interested in Indiana's GM. But that would be, the only allure for him would be the allure of the third largest market. That's the only thing. Because it's the same setup. He is working under AVP of basketball operations in Indiana, but Indiana has a better team. Indiana is a better working environment. They're smarter. So why would the only thing that he would be moving for is the chance to build back up in the third largest market in the brand that is the Bulls. But there's nothing tangible here that he can say is better than what's going on in Indiana. The Bulls have a smaller scouting department. They don't do research well or analytics that well. So it's weird. It is weird, and we're just going to have to see how it plays out as a season.
We got more from NBC Sports Chicago's Tony Gill coming up next here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network with Mike Mercado.
Hey guys, Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. We want to thank you so much for all the support you've given us here on the network. And if you want to see what we're up to outside of the station, please follow us all over social media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media and on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. You can follow the good brother Alex Mercado on Twitter at Mercado21Alex and on Instagram at Mercado2121. The lovely Nicole Mancha's on all social media platforms at Typing When Tipsy. You can follow the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Our pop culture show, The Good Brothers, on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Our true crime shows on Instagram at Murder, Mysteries, and More. And of course, like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all our videos on YouTube.com/Mike Mercado 2333 or by searching Mercado Airwaves Network. We play video games on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. And of course, you can support our network by finding a tier just for you, whether you want early access, you want to be part of polls, you want to win contest prizes, by visiting us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And we really appreciate it wherever you get your favorite podcast to like, rate, review, and share us. And please spread the word. For the good brother, Alex Mercado, for the lovely Nicole Mancha, I'm Mike Mercado. We wish you a happy, healthy holiday season and an awesome new year.
And, you know, I think my big issue with it ends up being if this was Apple, if this was Microsoft, and we were hearing things about this, there would be problems on the board. And because, you know, again, I don't want to spend anybody's money. If that's what you want to do with your bread, do your thing. I'm cool with that. You know, but then as a fan, this is then my response when you're saying, well, why are they saying fire Garpax on First Take? Or why is Joe Cowley and Casey Johnson reporting this? Because you make it easy for us. Tony, before we let you go, do you have a candidate you want to hear? Do you want to see Bartelstein? Is there anybody you want in the office that kind of gets you a little excited?
I think thinking out of the box is what's going to get them, ahead. Not following, the trend. Getting as many people. I'm a proponent of casting a broad net to get as many candidates as possible, to get as many opinions and views as possible. So I'm looking at Bartelstein. I'm looking at Maverick Carter and Rich Paul.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking at, Mazai Fury, even if that does cost you a first-round pick. He doesn't use first-round picks anyway. Kind of undrafted over late rounds and built them up because of his player development strategy. I'm looking at who's working with the Clippers, who's working with the Denver Nuggets, who's working with the Warriors, like just different avenues, top-tier agents who have connections to players, change the narrative about this place. I'm looking at everything, but that also means they have to acknowledge their issues and acknowledge their reputation around the league and what's being said about them around the league and the perception about them. If they don't acknowledge that, it's going to be difficult to actually hire a person that can actually fix those problems because they don't recognize those problems. So I'm just all about casting a broad net, get as many opinions and views in terms of candidates, make them widespread. I'm talking men, I'm talking women as well. There are women executives out there. The Bulls, they need help. And and I will give them credit, this small adjustment is their version of recognizing that they have issues. And we may not like it, but at least the small positive is they recognize it, at least to a certain degree. They don't recognize all of it, but a small degree. So just cast a broad net, a wider net. Again, I don't know. I don't know if any of these hires are going to work out. But my thing is that don't limit yourself to a small group of people to talk about this with.
You could follow him at the Tony Gill. You could follow NBC Sports Chicago at NBCS Chicago. How can the people who have followed you from the 6-7 to score days, moving over to the awesome people at NBC Sports Chicago, do you need them to go to the YouTube, to the website, to the Twitter? Where can people go to flood and listen to the amazing content that you guys are putting out from the podcast, from all the major sports teams and all the major sports, my brother?
Yeah, you can just follow me on Twitter at @TonyGill. I'll keep you updated on everything that I'm involved in or everything that I'm doing recently. I know it's different than hearing me every day with Lauren. It's a bit more difficult, but I am a part of all of our network of podcasts on Sports Chicago. So if you follow Bulls Talk, Cubs Talk, White Sox Talk, Blackhawks Talk, the Under Center podcast, I am at least in my production or my voice, you will know that Tony Gill is part of this. So whenever you download or listen to that, I may pop up in the episode. You never know, because I am right there when they're recording. So that's where you can get all my stuff right now. But yeah, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @Tony on both, and I'll keep you updated on everything that I'm being a part of and every project that I can be a part of.
And next time we talk to you, Tony, we'll be looking for a new head coach. Thank God. You're the best, Tony.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate it.
A huge thank you to friend of the show, Tony Gill. Make sure you're following him on Instagram and on Twitter at the Tony Gill. And thank you all for joining us here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media and on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. The network's on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves and like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can follow our true crime show on Instagram at Murder Mysteries and More, and our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. You can follow the lovely Nicole Mancha on all social media at Typing When Tipsy, and the good brother himself is on Twitter at Mercado21Alex, and on Instagram at Mercado2121. Play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. You can find us on YouTube, so subscribe to us at youtube.com/MikeMercado2333 or search Mercado Airwaves Network. Like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. It really helps us grow the brand. If you'd like to support the network, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have contests, we have early access, and so many other great things if you would like to support us on a different level. And of course, if you would like to get a question or a thought on the air, reach out to us or email at mercadoairwaves@gmail.com. For everybody here at Mercado Airwaves, thank you for joining us here on Sports from the Couch. I'm Mike Mercado. Enjoy all the games, and we will see you next time.